The modern world rewards immediate reactions. You are constantly dragged into unnecessary arguments, triggered by insecurities, and fed on instant impulses. Every time you respond with anger, frustration, or desperation, you hand over the keys to your mind to someone else. The most powerful figures in history were not the loudest. They were the quietest. They mastered a hidden strategy that fused Stoic resilience with a deep understanding of human psychology. Today, you will discover the psychological laws to become cold, analytical, and unshakable in any situation. Welcome to the psychology of silence, the power of the awkward silence. When someone attempts to insult, pressure, or intimidate you, do not defend yourself. Do not argue. Simply look them dead in the eye and maintain absolute silence for 5 full seconds. In psychology, this triggers a phenomenon known as the vacuum effect. Human beings naturally despise empty communication spaces. By denying them the emotional reaction they desperately expected, their brain enters a state of cognitive dissonance. They will begin to doubt themselves, over-explain their actions to fill the void, and ultimately expose their own weaknesses. Silence is not submission. It is the strategic space where your enemy destroys themselves. Selective indifference and locus of control. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In psychological terms, this is shifting from an external locus of control to an internal locus of control. Selective indifference is training your brain to categorize external attacks as background noise. If an insult does not affect your resources, your physical health, or your long-term goals, your neurological response should be exactly 0. When you withhold your attention, you drain the power of the instigator. Become a ghost to absurd provocations. Strategic obscurity. Dark psychology proves that human behavior is inherently competitive. When people know what you are thinking, what you desire, or what hurts you, they subconsciously build strategies to counter or manipulate your next move. The law of strategic obscurity is clear. Maintain a completely flat emotional baseline. If you are unreadable, you are unpredictable. And if you are unpredictable, you become impossible to control. Let your execution be the only thing that makes noise. The scarcity principle of presence. In behavioral psychology, value is directly tied to availability. If you answer messages within seconds, attend every social gathering, and agree to every minor favor, your presence undergoes psychological inflation. It becomes cheap. An unshakable character understands the power of saying no without offering validation or explanations. Your time is a premium asset. When you limit access to yourself, people naturally begin to respect your boundaries and measure their words carefully before speaking to you. The surgeon's perspective. The core Stoic rule states that you can observe an emotion without converting it into an action. Feeling anger is a biological response. Acting under the influence of anger is a cognitive failure that professional manipulators exploit daily. When a crisis hits, step back mentally. Practice what psychologists call third-person self-talk or emotional disassociation. View yourself from the outside, as if you were a surgeon analyzing an anonymous patient on an operating table. Mental coldness is born the moment you successfully separate what you feel from how you execute. Decoding motives over words. People rarely say what they actually mean. When someone delivers a passive-aggressive critique, your brain should immediately bypass the literal text and analyze the psychological source. Are they acting out of status anxiety? Is this an expression of projection due to their own hidden insecurities? Are they trying to elevate their social standing at the expense of your peace? By framing an attack as a clinical data point rather than a personal offense, the emotional sting vanishes. You no longer experience anger toward the manipulator. You simply diagnose them and neutralize their influence. The strategy of the ghost, the final psychological law, and the most devastating to any toxic dynamic, is your absolute willingness to walk away. When an environment, a business deal, or a relationship no longer aligns with your fundamental principles, do not threaten, do not argue, and do not create a scene. Quietly and permanently withdraw your presence. Nothing destabilizes a narcissistic ego faster than watching you leave with absolute composure, demonstrating that their existence no longer carries any weight in your reality. The amygdala hijack. In high-stress situations, the human brain undergoes what neuropsychologists call an amygdala hijack. The emotional center of the brain completely bypasses the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for logic, strategy, and long-term consequences. This is why weak individuals shout, throw tantrums, or make impulsive decisions they later regret. An unshakable mind recognizes this biological emergency. While the crowd is reacting purely on survival instincts, you remain still. By delaying your response by even 60 seconds, you allow your rational mind to take control, giving you a massive strategic advantage over anyone acting purely on adrenaline. The illusion of transparency. Most people live under the heavy psychological burden of the illusion of transparency, the cognitive bias where we overestimate how much others can read our internal mental state. When people feel anxious, guilty, or intimidated, they mistakenly believe everyone around them can see it. Stoicism exploits this flaw through deliberate composure. Even if you feel a surge of uncertainty inside, maintaining a controlled posture, a steady voice, and a relaxed gaze forces the other person's brain to assume you possess complete confidence. In human interaction, perceived certainty always dominates raw emotion. The Dunning-Kruger trap in conflict. You will constantly encounter arrogant, loud, and aggressive individuals who believe they know everything and hold absolute power over the situation. Typography and psychology define this as the Dunning-Kruger effect, a cognitive bias where people with low ability or low emotional intelligence hold an immense, unjustified sense of superiority. Arguing with someone trapped in this state is a waste of intellectual energy. Instead of trying to correct them, allow their arrogance to run its course. Watch them in silence as they overreach, make mistakes, and create their own downfall. Your silence isn't lack of knowledge. It is the patience of an observer watching a predictable outcome. Cognitive reframing and the Epictetus method. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus stated, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of things." Modern cognitive behavioral therapy calls this cognitive reframing. An event itself is entirely neutral. It is the subjective label your brain attaches to it that causes suffering. If a business deal falls through, the weak mind labels it a tragedy and falls into depression. The unshakable mind labels it a data collection event and adjusts the strategy. You control the narrative. By stripping away emotional adjectives from reality, you become completely immune to psychological collapse. The psychology of the narcissistic reaction. When you practice absolute silence and emotional detachment around manipulative individuals, they will invariably escalate their behavior. This is known in behavioral psychology as an extinction burst. When a toxic person realizes their old triggers, their insults, guilt trips, or drama no longer elicit a reaction from you, their brain panics. They will try harder, yell louder, or change tactics drastically. Recognizing an extinction burst for what it is allows you to remain detached. It is simply the dying gasp of a failed manipulation strategy. Hold your ground, maintain your silence, and watch the behavior fade into irrelevance. The Stoic ego shield. True psychological resilience requires the systematic destruction of the ego. Most emotional pain is caused by the desperate need to defend our self-image to the outside world. When someone insults you, they are trying to alter your status. If you possess a fragile ego, you will feel compelled to fight back to restore your perceived worth. But if you internalize the Stoic truth that the opinions of others have zero impact on your objective reality, the insult loses its target. There is no shield more powerful than an ego that requires no external validation to know its own value. Mastering your mind is the ultimate step to mastering your reality. If you are ready to stop merely reacting and begin executing with calculated, psychological precision, subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment with the word "unshakable" to signal that you pushed through to the end of this journey. Maintain the silence.